Joining us now, Republican Senator of Kansas, Roger Marshall, at today's hearing. The senator is a doctor by trade, as I always mention, an OB-GYN. With us tonight here on the Hill. Doctor, Senator, nice to see you. So she's also Casey Means is also a best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author. There's a chapter in her book, Trust Yourself, Not Your Doctor. You're a doctor. As a doctor, why do you trust her as potentially the next Surgeon General?
Well, I think there's a lot of red herrings out here, but regardless, she's going to be a great Surgeon General. That, like me, she's concerned that 8 out of 10 Americans have a chronic disease, that 1 out of 3 of our adolescents have prediabetes as well. I think what she's saying is that maybe we need to be focused on up front preventing all these health problems. I believe in the sanctity of the patient-physician relationship, but again, she wants to focus on making America healthy. We are a very sick nation right now. I think maybe you're taking it a little bit out of context, but I think she's trying to say, look, it's okay to ask questions.
I mean, it was a chapter in her book.
What should my children be taking? Okay. Yeah, I did read the book. It's been over a year ago as well. But I think she's trying to just encourage people to ask the questions, that science is never settled. And we should be asking the question, why did my grandfather get Alzheimer's disease? Why do we think that these ultra-processed foods have led to metabolic inflammation that leads to autoimmune diseases and leads to Alzheimer's, those types of things?
Here was Casey Means. There was a conversation today on psilocybins, which, as you know, are magic mushrooms. And part of her position there, this was with a back and forth with Senator Susan Collins. Then we'll pick it up on the other side.
What I would say as a private citizen is in many cases different than what I would say as a public health official. Joining a team where the purpose of this role is to communicate, but to be very clear, under no circumstances would I recommend that to the American people in this role are illicit drug use.
Should there be a pro-psilocybin Surgeon General, Doctor?
I don't think that she will be. I don't think that's going to be her focus at all. I think her focus is going to be on a healthy, nutritious diet, getting away from ultra-processed foods and high-carbohydrate diets. I think she's going to be focused on making America healthy again. Look, no way would I support people taking these psychedelics. I think it's not part of my practice. It's nothing that I could recommend. But I think that that's a red herring again. Let's focus on the fact that she's a great communicator, that she has a great following, that she is leading this Make America Healthy Again fad that's going on out there, that there are hundreds of thousands of people that support her, and she can help to lead the way back to a healthier America.
All right, let me ask you about Medicaid, because we heard, Senator, from the Vice President today. He was out on the road with Dr. Oz as well, and part of the news there is a temporary halt to some Medicaid funding over fraud concerns in the state of Minnesota. Here was Vice President Vance.
We have decided to temporarily halt certain amounts of Medicaid funding that are going to the state of Minnesota in order to ensure that the state of Minnesota takes its obligations seriously to be good stewards of the American people's tax money.
Obviously, we know that there's a massive amount of money in play potentially there in Minnesota, but here was a headline in your home state of Kansas there about $798,000 of potential fraud with Medicaid there. It leads to the question, where do you draw the line on this issue, Senator?
Well, I think number one is always to be compassionate, always trying to do the right thing. I hope that this is a very short pause. Medicaid is something that I have fought for. Republicans in our working family tax cuts actually increase funding for Medicaid. We want to make sure that it's prioritized for those who need it the most. That would be senior citizens and people with disabilities, moms with young children at home as well. So where to draw the line? I think that Americans want us to be frugal with their money. We want them to do the right thing. So I hope this is a very short, temporary situation in Minnesota.
All right, we'll leave it there. Doctor, Senator Roger Marshall, Kansas, with us once again here on the Hill. Thank you, sir.